If an indicator of trustworthiness is your website, that alone should be enough for you to invest some time and money into it. Welcome to the Workhorse Podcast, where we dig deep into the grit, passion, and strategy behind building a successful rural business. We're your hosts.
I'm Kendall Ballantyne, owner of Central Park Farms and marketing for farmers.
And I'm Jessica Garza, owner of Moose Valley Ranch and founder of Market in the Mountains.
This podcast is for hardworking female farmers and rural entrepreneurs who are ready to turn their dreams into thriving businesses. From deep diving business strategies that actually work to balancing farm family life and everything in between.
We're here to give you practical tools, candid insights, and a healthy dose of community support. If you're looking for women who actually cheer you on, are willing to tell you the hard truths, and that understand how much it can throw off your day when the cows get out, you're in the right spot.
This podcast is for the doers, the women who don't stay in one spot for too long, for the workhorses. If you ask me what the biggest mistake is that I made when it came to marketing my business in those earlier years, it was paying so much attention to social media and not nearly enough attention to the places on the internet that I had ownership over, my website, my email newsletter. I told myself countless lies that my business wasn't big enough, that people wouldn't care enough to get a newsletter from me, that I didn't need it. Fast forward, and we went through some pivotal changes with our business, and it was those assets within our company that really made or break our marketing in those early years.
What do you wish you would have done first?
Well, cost-wise and just speed of implementation, my email list. And honestly, my email newsletter list is the thing that generates the most revenue for our business now.
And how long did you wait to start it before?
Probably like 2 years, probably. So a lot.
So from starting your business to it took about 2 years for you to start collecting emails.
Yeah, I had my website first. I did my website kind of just a general landing page, like a really basic website. But before the farm, I started as a blogger. So I was a blogger back when blogging before Instagram. I'm going to date myself. Before Instagram, when it was just Facebook, like at the very beginning of online influencing, when it was the Wild West and nobody really knew about influencer marketing, me and a group of girlfriends, we started a blog that was based locally, and it was highlighting like all the cool local businesses and things like that. And so I had a background in understanding how to build out a website, how to do some of the basic coding, how to make a website work. So I launched a website quite quickly. But it didn't have an online store because at that point I wasn't selling online, but it was just a landing place so people could find me on the internet as a business. And then it probably took, I'd say 1.5 to 2 years before I started making an email newsletter list. And now it is, and very quickly it became the biggest revenue producer for our farm. And so there was a lot of regrets that I didn't start building that list out sooner.
What do you think now the percentages difference between what you see return on investment with Central Park Farms social media and return on investment with Central Park Farms email newsletter?
So those two things work really closely together for me now, but I am generating content on social media every single day. And don't get me wrong, we have actual transactions. Like for our business to make sense, I have to have thousands and thousands of dollars coming in every single day. And based on my average order of $122, that's a lot of individual transactions I have to drive in a day. But when we send our email newsletter, it is just like a floodgate of orders that come through every single time we send our newsletter. So my focus tends to be more using social media to get people over to our email list, because once we get them on our email list, I can constantly be converting those people over to paying customers. We sell food, so many people are ordering from us weekly or every couple weeks. So I use my email newsletter almost as like the gentle nudge to remind them it's time to order your products.
So consistency wise, like day to day, more is coming in through social media just because you're on social media every day. But the largest dollar amount comes in from your email list?
Correct. Our most loyal customers come in from our email list. The people that get our emails are the ones that are buying from us every week. They are our most loyal. They're the ones that are out there selling our business, telling people about us. They're our most committed customers. Whereas I find social media, those people are a little bit, they'll see that I'm posting something that's in stock, and that will inspire them to go and place an order. But it's the people who are just on that email list that are the tried and true customers. We always really try to prioritize that community the most.
So I was looking on Threads. I was scrolling. I was doom scrolling is what we call it.
I love Threads.
It's a little it feels like Instagram circa 2018,
It's
sort of.
unhinged.
Yeah.
I love it. I love seeing what you write, and I love seeing there's like a few people I follow over there. You know,
And I'm like, I don't want
Caroline
anyone
from Little Creek. I love, like, shout out to Caroline. I love following her over on Threads, like seeing just
I don't want anyone to follow me over there. I'm like,
everyone
keep my
needs to.
Instagram fam, and I want my Threads fam to be like totally unhinged content. Instagram was the place where I could go where my parents couldn't see what I was writing because they were only on Facebook. And then now both of them have Instagram. And I'm like, it's no longer a free space. Like, I will be judged at the dinner table. So
Wait, you know that they can see your threads though,
yes,
right? Because I thought that too. And then I was leaving unhinged comments, and then my mom went and hearted one of them. And I was like, she's not a. And then I asked her, and she's like, well, I just see it while I'm scrolling on my Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty much accepted the fact that nothing on the internet is private in any way, shape, or form. And I'll be unhinged and stand by it. But I do sometimes I'm like, oh, don't come over here. Like, stay on the Instagram side of things because I'm over here in Threads living my best life.
Yeah,
And
give me one safe space on the internet where I can just say whatever I want without like.
yeah, right. Worry about anything. No, so I was scrolling and I don't even know if it was, I'll be honest, like there's no hashtags or anything. So I don't know if it's like a trending topic or what the terminology is for it. But all of a sudden I kept seeing all these posts. Do you really need a website? Like I have a business and like, do I really need a website? The comment section of those posts was insane to me. And the advice that people were taking from random accounts. I mean, like no basis of expertise or experience or knowledge or anything. And I will say caveat, I think a few of them must have been like digital product only. Like you see that like creating a course to sell how to sell a course.
Yes.
Thing. I'm going to say it's a scam. It's a scam. But when you see stuff like that, I think some of them were in that space.
It's the new MLM of digital space.
Yeah,
so like you're buying
MRR,
it
right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't follow it too closely, but you're buying the course.
If you're selling me a course on how to sell a course, I'm out.
Yeah,
stop. I'm out. But I think a few people were in that space that were saying like, oh no, you don't. You can make like a product listing on somewhere. I don't even know. I didn't go that far down into it. But then the rest of it was making me want to run my head into a wall because I'm like, you 100% need a website if you are a business.
I am the huge, and I should caveat this. I am an advocate for being scrappy. I'm an advocate for not overspending on things you don't need. I like absolutely 100%. You start growing where you're at and get things as you can. But I agree completely that a website, an email newsletter list, like there are some things that you really, and it doesn't have to be the fanciest website. It doesn't need to have all the options. You don't have to have it custom made by somebody. I spent years with the jankiest website that I would try to like do little updates to, and the graphics on it were designed by me and they weren't that great.
Okay, full stop though. Full stop.
Yeah.
Like, yes, janky, but not janky.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay, my version of janky is probably different than some other people's. What was great about my website was the copy was really compelling. So I'm a words girl more than I am a graphic designer, more than I am a web designer. So I can tell a story. So my website told a story. It might not have had everything perfect on it. My website still doesn't have everything perfect on it, but we did years with a website that ended up having obviously an e-commerce site because we do a lot through our online store. And I always hear this feedback from people and they're like, yeah, I want to launch my website, but it doesn't have like professional photography for all my products, or it doesn't have this. And they make excuses or they tell themselves lies to hold them back. I was doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with a website that didn't have a single food photo on it at all. The entire website was icons. It was an icon of a chicken, an icon of a pig, and an icon of a cow. And I was moving like nearing 7 figures a year. I mean, I just updated that a year and a half ago. So we were very close to 7 figures a year at that point, and I was still moving that. But it's important to add, I was very active on social media at the time. So people were seeing the product that I was selling through Instagram stories. And I was using that to funnel people to my website where I have ownership and control. And yeah, it didn't have photos, but they were seeing the products online through social media. So they didn't necessarily have to see the picture of the chicken breast on the website to be able to know what it was that I was selling. So if you don't want to show up the way that I show up on Instagram, you're probably going to need to have some pictures of what it is that you're selling on your website. But don't let it hold you back that you need to have this like absolutely professionally designed website that costs you thousands of dollars and all of the things. You need to get something up though. You need to have a home on the internet.
Yeah,
sure.
it's a stair step. Like you can start with a simple landing page with one of your beautiful family photographs so they can at least attach like a name to the story and you can build from there. We're constantly redoing my website. I mean, pages change monthly, updates happen monthly, new photo albums come in. Like it is I think of a website as a growing organism. Like it's its own life form that will grow with you and change with your business as you figure it out, as you solidify which route you're going to go on. But if you don't get started with it, it can really hinder the impact you can have in your business. Like if you don't have a website, I'll just be really frank. If I'm looking at your business and I find you on social media, because that's where a lot of us find businesses to work with is on social media. If I find you on social media and I go and look and you don't have a business website, I'm out. That's shady to me.
I was going to ask you a question about that because I know that you spend a lot of time going through Market in the Mountains vendor applications. If it comes down to two vendors and one has a website and one doesn't, you're leaning to the one with the website, right?
Yeah, if they're fairly equivalent on both,
like otherwise
all other things,
their products are the
equal.
same, their product quality is the same, they're showing up on social media, and one has a website and one doesn't, would you say that you're more likely to go with the business with the website?
100%.
Yeah.
Because I can refer people there. I can, even if it's not an order taking, it's a way that a lot of our customers maybe aren't on social media, something I can link to, I can give it to other people. And it sort of just positions you in the marketplace, not just in Market in the Mountains, but in the marketplace as an established entity in your field.
It gives a little bit of a trust authority there too. Like it takes, because it takes a little bit of money and a little bit of time. And I'm not saying, like, again, not professionally done, but it's still, you get a URL and you've got to get a platform to put it on and you've got to take the time to kind of put it together. So it signals to me that you're taking your business seriously and you want it to move ahead when you have some of those things in place. Not to mention, it's a massive safeguard for your business. When we had COVID breakout in my area, the way our government handled things was farmers markets got shut down, restaurants got shut down, a bunch of different things happened. And one of the biggest things that happened is that suddenly a lot of farmers were left without their sales channel. And I started getting flooded with phone calls from farmers being like, okay, now what? I was used to going to the farmers market every week. Now the farmers market's closed and I have no way of accessing my customers. Yes, maybe they had a social media account, but you're going and you're throwing a piece of information out onto your social media, onto your Instagram, and a tiny fraction of the people are seeing it. We had the farmers market reach out to me and they said to me, Kendall, like, we have to close the market. The market's not allowed to be open anymore. And they said to me, do you mind sending out an email to your newsletter customers and let them know the market's going to be closed this weekend? They didn't have a better answer or better solution to communicate with the shoppers in the market than relying on one vendor who had a really strong email list. I was able to pivot that business. I was able to send an email out to our customers directly from me saying, hey, you guys, the market's closed. Not to worry. We've put all of our product onto our online store. Go place an order in the online store and we will meet you with our delivery van where the market is normally set up and you can pick up your pre-orders of your stuff. And we were able, not only did we not even miss a beat, but suddenly our sales were skyrocketing because we knew how to handle that. And we already had the online infrastructure in place that we may not have necessarily needed to rely on as heavily before that, because people could just come to the farmers market and shop with us. Yes, we had customers that pre-ordered, but it allowed us to really put all of our inventory online so that we could move our product just as effectively as we did before when somebody had taken away our sales channel from us. Like it saved our business. And then all the other farmers were kind of scrambling to start it from scratch, where we already had it set up and it was ready to go for whatever we needed to use it for.
That's so incredibly important to recognize that when you rely on one sales channel without any backup, and all of a sudden it's gone, whether that be for COVID, for a family emergency, a change in your physical abilities, a change in your finances, or a change in whatever presidential election is happening. I mean, you name it. If you have one sole sales channel and you've put all your eggs in that basket, you've ventured into a really dangerous space where you don't own the real estate you're operating your business on.
And I talked about that the other day on Instagram. I did a post about how, 3 years ago, we walked away from farmers markets entirely because we wanted more time as a family. I've got stepkids, and when they're at mom's house, they get to camp, and then they come to our house for the weekend. And it's like, sorry, man, we're going to farmers markets every Saturday and Sunday. Like they weren't getting those same experiences that we wanted to give them when they were at our house, because we were always at market. And we gave them up cold turkey. Like we announced we were stopping and we didn't go back to another farmer's market. And it was because we had built up those other channels. Like we already had the online store in place. We had the email newsletter, so that we had been building those things all along. Yeah, maybe I didn't need an email list then because I was still going in front of customers all the time at the market level. But man, if I hadn't been focused on growing that for all that time that I was at market, I would have had a few people to communicate to instead of thousands, like I did at the end, where I could send them newsletters and let them know that they could order online, they could pick up here, they could get home delivery. When I pivoted where we were selling, I was able to communicate with all those people.
That delayed gratification, though, is something that is very difficult to embrace and justify as a small business owner, because you're already pulled a million different directions and it feels like it's not a crisis. It's not a necessity. If you don't recognize that reference, go back and listen to episode 1. But truly, the delayed gratification that comes from putting the work into something, even when you're not seeing the immediate return out of it, is underrated. And I strongly believe, as you know, in planning for a crisis, an emergency. And that means you have to put the work in even when it isn't giving you the immediate satisfaction like you get on social media with likes, followers, and other things.
For sure. I mean, I know what it's like to send a newsletter and not get a single sale. I know what it's like to send 4 newsletters in a row and not get a single sale from that newsletter. And I know what it's like to think to yourself, I am wasting my time. There's absolutely no reason that I'm sending this out. Why am I doing this? I have more important things to do. So I had to set it up like an appointment. When it comes to the farm, we send a newsletter every week, and I don't think every business needs to be sending a newsletter every week. But because I sell a product that you're eating every day, and so people are ordering groceries regularly, so it works for the size of our business to be sending one a week. If I said that and you just died a little inside, don't worry, you can start with a month.
I died.
Start with 1 month.
No way.
There's literally somebody right now like holding onto their steering wheel on the drive to town, rolling their eyes into the back of their heads that I'm telling them to send a newsletter a week. I'm not. That just is what works for our business. It didn't start with 1 a week. It started with 1 a month. But sending it and getting consistent with it, because if you send one, and I need to look internally at this statement, because when it comes to marketing for farmers, y'all got an email from me last week and it was the first one in a while. So I get it. But when it comes to something that I am like transactionally needing to make money on, like it is for the farm, I treat sending that newsletter like a doctor's appointment. Like it is so important to my business. I have to send it. It is a non-negotiable, and it is a huge funnel marketing opportunity for us. But I get that it takes a bit to get into the habit of it. But when you actually see, first of all, it's starting to do what it's supposed to be doing, but also I've gone through more than one huge change within my business between the pandemic, between deciding to not do farmers markets anymore. And I have seen that that is the single most important thing that I had as a business owner to make sure that my income stayed stable, hands down. It's the lifeline. It's what gave me the confidence to say my family deserves their weekends back, and I'm going to make a change, even though it's scary because we were moving away from hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual market sales. I was leaving that behind at the end of market season when it was time to transition from summer to winter markets. We just never went back. And that's scary, but that was the single most important thing that I had in place. And that's not something that you can just pop up the week before you decide to leave markets and hope for the best. You won't have the people joining the newsletter in time.
And I don't want to downplay if this isn't resonating with you listening, that this isn't, it's not how you're feeling. I don't run my business in any way, shape, or form the same way that Kendall does. The amount of transactions that you have to do every day compared to the effort it takes for me with huge events and one-off bookings. I mean, I'm really hoping if you get married at the ranch, you're only getting married there once. Like I'm rooting for your marriage there. So I'm not trying to sell a wedding to you every week.
Even if your wedding didn't turn out, I have a feeling you're not going back to the same place and like having the same wedding venue and the same wedding flower. So like, even if it doesn't work out, I have a feeling you're not going back to. As a divorcee myself, I did not double dip the same venue.
Maybe I should look it up. Like, buy one, get one. No, I can't. That's not, I want your wedding and your marriage to be wonderful. A BOGO. But truly, like, I don't run it the same way. I do not stress about sending a weekly newsletter. Definitely not in the off season for us. We are incredibly seasonal with the way that it works for engagement season. Is typically over the holidays, ends around Valentine's Day. Like there is a time and a place for that. And I think that is a big difference between like a meat producer that is moving the amount of meat that you have and people that need to eat every single day versus specialty or things like that. So don't let it be overwhelming, because I know when I started collecting email addresses, I think I started just catching them on my website because it had an option like get an email subscriber here. And I was like, I've heard Kendall say that's important. I should do that. And then slowly I transitioned into MailChimp because I wanted a cuter, like you can make these cute pop-ups, landing pages, different forms. And now I'm with Flodesk, which you are too.
Yes.
Which is wonderful and beautiful. And I love the segmenting capabilities, which if you're not aware, segmenting on the backside of an email newsletter is when your subscribers can actually be placed into specific categories and your email hosting platform sorts them out for you. So like for me, I have one that is for Gather, women that have come to Gather, the event for rural women entrepreneurs. When we do something with Gather, I have a segment so that if I send that email and I only want to send it to the people that have come to Gather, I can do that. So that's when we say segment. I just felt like that needed.
Yeah,
sometimes
absolutely.
People have no idea.
Especially because your business benefits so much from segments because you're so diversified with like the Geodome and Market in the Mountain ticket sales versus vendors even. Like you've got so many segments going on versus just me with like
in my back end, I have like I think I have 40 segments or close to different ones, which just makes it easier when you want to go send a really targeted email. But I didn't start sending emails weekly. I still don't send emails weekly. Maybe in the on-ramp to a big launch or something, I might for like a very short amount of time send more, but I don't otherwise. But I at least know that every time Instagram goes down, I have this little fist pump, this internal fist pump that says, heck yeah, I'm going to go send an email today because nobody can post anything. Nobody can see anything. Instagram's down. Everyone's running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And I'm like, ooh, I got an email list. So I'm going to go over there.
And even like, ideally, you're sending an email. Like ideally, once a month, you're sending an email. Best case scenario. But I want you to even just start collecting the dang email addresses. Even if you're not ready to send an email, just at least get people signed up for your email list, because those people become something when you need them to. And yes, we should be nurturing them and doing all of those things. But if you just need one thing that you can do is just set yourself up, go sign up for a platform like MailChimp is free. We use Flodesk, both of us, like Jess was saying. There are lots of different options. Flodesk costs some money. I prefer it. However, I started with MailChimp and we were doing a lot of revenue with the free platform available to you on MailChimp, and you can always move people over, but at least sign up for something and get collecting some emails.
Full disclosure, this ad puts a few dollars back in our pockets, but we wouldn't be recommending Flodesk if we didn't use it ourselves. With gorgeous templates, easy to understand analytics, and great segments, we are both running our email marketing through Flodesk.
If you're ready to finally get that email list growing and actually enjoy sending newsletters, head to the link in the show notes. We've hooked you up with 50% off your first year with Flodesk, because that's what friends are for.
I will say I appreciate I'm a pretty thrifty individual. Like, I don't love spending extra money when there's free services out there that will do it. But I will say, as someone who sometimes requires outside motivation, the fact that Flodesk costs me money makes me more motivated to send the dang emails, because I'm like, I'm paying for the service. I'm going to use it, which is a nice byproduct, I guess. It's kind of like paying for a gym membership. Could I go for a run at the ranch? Sure. Will I? Probably not. Will I show up to my group class if they charge me $20 if I miss it? Heck yeah.
Yep.
I'll be there.
I agree. And that's just it. Like, you got to start somewhere. You got to get those emails coming in. I am also motivated by the fact that I pay for a service, because I can't bring myself to unsubscribe from it, because I know if I know I need it and if I know I should be doing it, I can't get myself to unsubscribe, because that's admitting to myself that I'm just not going to do it. But I will do it if I'm paying some money for it. And I like Flodesk, but regardless of where you are hosting your email newsletter, it's just important that you have it, that you are using that to funnel. But Jess, how do you actually get people on your email list?
How do I not get people on my email list?
How do you get them on your email?
I know. No, I mean, like, what ways am I not? I am doing anything and everything that I can. So I have pop-ups on my website that just pop up and say, hey, you can pick what you want to get from me. Maybe you want to hear about speaking things that I'm doing. Maybe you want to get business information. Maybe you want information on the Geodome, weddings. I have this pop-up. I have lead capture forms. So anytime we're talking about it, maybe we're just like getting flowers ready for the retreat. And I'll say, like, if you're interested in coming to a retreat with us, drop your email in the newsletter so you hear about it. And then I really do try to incentivize my newsletters, because I'm not like driving value into their inbox every time I send an email necessarily, especially in the off seasons. A lot of times it's just like, hey, we're still here. We're still working hard. Love having you in our community with us. I will try to make sure that my email newsletter hears it first. And so when I get a DM that says, hey, I didn't notice, like, how long have market applications been open? I'll be like, hey girl, if you don't want to miss it next time, get yourself on the email news list. And so I constantly go back around to that. And then I do just any chance I can get, even with physical promotion of the newsletter. So at Market in the Mountains, we had just finished construction on the Geodome. In fact, I built the stairs 2 nights before Market opened. I was building the stairs to get up.
I was there for Jess building those stairs, and I sent a video to my husband, and I was like, she got her rise and run, and the stairs look so good. Jay was so proud of you. He like got the video of you actually building your stairs. He was like, look at that rise and run.
I did. I even cut my own stringers, if you know what that is. And it was a mental mind game there for a little bit. But like 2 a.m, I finished the stairs so that I knew there was going to be a ton of people driving past the dome, just because the way the drive-in worked. And I knew people were going to want to see it. We're going to be curious. So we staged the inside with just extra. Some of my girlfriends brought some stuff over and helped me make it look cute from the window. And I locked it because I didn't need anybody going inside. But on the door, I had a QR code, and it said, if you're interested in staying here, just scan the QR code. You can add yourself to the email list. So even in physical ways like that, I recruit consistently for my newsletter. And and that was just directing them to join, sign up, get the information. And then now, as we've gotten more solid in our plan with the Dome, now that's led into creating its own page on the website, which is under construction, putting different sections there to create this experience. So when you go over to my website, that it funnels you like a like a spider web around two things on the ranch. I want to keep you on my website as long as you're there. So we're working on that now.
Yeah, I mean, that's been so great. Like collecting them at the farmers markets for us, QR codes, anywhere and everywhere. We do contests that you'll never see me run a contest to get more followers on Instagram ever. You'll see me run a contest that gets people to sign up for my newsletter list, though. Like if I'm going to a special event, I don't do farmers markets anymore, but I do the once a year Christmas market just because I really like the farmer that puts it on. And I always give away, like $150 meat box because it's a pretty big event and everybody signs up. And it's just like a physical piece of paper. I find more people at market sign up with the pen and paper, which is kind of a pain. Like I do have a QR code that takes them to where they can join online. And people are like, oh, that's such a pain. You get like 100 email addresses and you need to add them. But man, we make so much money off of our email list. I will type those email addresses in. Like I am committed to growing that list. I will type them in all day long if I have to.
And if you have some staff, that's a great like entry level delegation. Here, I need you to input the list for me. If you're lucky enough to have some staff.
I don't think I've ever delegated that task out for whatever reason. I know it's so stupid. It's just, I feel like each one of those people is like revenue.
You have a personal attachment.
I'm like cha-chinging my way through adding those people to my email list. It doesn't take long. It's not a big deal, but I love that part of things for us. And it's just this constant attempt and people talk about funnels and they talk about all these different things. And yeah, maybe we'll get to that in a different podcast episode, but it's just the concept of trying to move people from, social media where we have no ownership. And dang, if you're a meat producer, like what we do goes against the terms and conditions on Instagram and Facebook. I lost my Facebook account because I got reported by a person who disagrees with animal agriculture. And I lost my Facebook. My personal Facebook and my business Facebook page was gone like that. I disputed it. I lost because what I do goes against the terms and conditions. And that was, probably 4 or 5 years ago that I lost it. But thank goodness I have these other things in play. But I use social media to constantly be sending people over. I've got a few what they call opt-ins. So I've got an opt-in for a 40-page produce storage guide, which seems really counterproductive because I don't sell produce. But the thought pattern of that is if I can teach people how to preserve and reduce waste, they save money on their groceries. And if they save money on their groceries when it comes to buying produce, they're more likely to be able to spend more money on meat with me. And I know it really speaks to my ideal customer. That is a huge opt-in for us. Like I get hundreds and hundreds of people, probably every month, I get at least 100 people joining our email list from that specific PDF that we offer. And it just automatically goes out to customers. But we're always like, if I'm doing something, like if I go to a farmer's market and I buy some produce, or if I'm, taking my groceries and putting them away, I'm linking to that opt-in in my Instagram stories. The goal is always, let's get people off Instagram over to my email list. And when I send my emails, I'm constantly moving them over to my website where they can actually have a transaction with me. They can't have a transaction with me on Instagram. They can't have a transaction with me on my newsletter. They have to have that transaction with me either at my farm store or on my website. So I'm trying to move them to my website every single time and get them over there so that hopefully, when they're checking out my new recipe or when they're reading a new blog post that I put out that I sent out in my newsletter, that once they're over there, I have built my website in a way that when they get to the bottom of that recipe, it says, grab some ground beef and try this recipe today. And they click on it and it goes over to our online stores where they can have that transaction. Because I have to have a lot of conversion.
It's mind-blowing to me that someone can just report your account. And I know, it's mind-blowing in the fact that it frustrates the crap out of me because it doesn't ever seem like it sinks in or sinks through people in business that can happen. I've seen it happen. You've had it happen. It's just mind-blowing to me, though, how much ownership you feel over social media when you really have nothing. And it makes me think of the TikTok situation.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I'm so tired of hearing.
Are we off? Are we on?
Are we there? Are we not there? As someone who only went over to take the handle Moose Valley Ranch so that no one else could have it on TikTok, I have never spent any time over there or posted or done anything on it. And I have zero intention of doing that at this point in time. I'm so tired of hearing about it. But all I could think of when people were scrambling and they were funneling them all back to Instagram or to the new I can't remember what it
There's some
is.
other thing. I'm
There's the new
Canadian,
app.
and I'm even tired of hearing about it. It's not even my country that's getting rid of it. Although I hear that might be happening for Canada too, but
I don't know, but and they were just funneling them to another app, and I was like, "Oh, what? Like you're just gonna send them to yet another platform that you don't own, that you have no ability. If one day you type your password in wrong 6 times, you may never get back into it."
people
Versus
pop up
having
fraudulent accounts. They like mimic
Mhm.
your account, and then you go tell everybody to go and report that account. They accidentally report the wrong one, and then you can lose your account. Like there's so many ways that you can lose. I know
That's like
somebody who
the
lost
worst.
their account that
Doing
way.
that?
Yes, I know
Oh,
somebody
no, because it was,
personally.
like, so close?
Because it was so close that then everybody
Oh.
started to go report what they thought they were being helpful and started reporting, and then they kept reporting the wrong account, and she ended up losing her valid account. Like so many things can happen, and I don't mean like I'm not trying to fearmonger you into an email list,
Oh,
but
no,
I mean
stop. Let's fearmonger a little bit here
yeah,
because
it's
it's
the
a valid
reality.
fear. It's a
It is a
valid fear.
reality.
And from a consumer standpoint, and I say this because I've dealt with some real shady characters in my life and experience, and I have taken so many reports on fraudulent behavior and heard all the horror stories of things. If an indicator of trustworthiness is your website, that alone should be enough for you to invest some time and money into it because it takes nothing to open an Instagram. It doesn't. It takes 2 seconds, a fake email, pop up, whatever. We all see it. We all know. If nothing else, that should make it worthwhile for you, and you truly do. And double down on that if you have a physical location somewhere in any
Yes.
way, shape, or form.
Yes, because I can't get the same search engine optimized benefits from a social media account as I can get from my website. So much of our traffic, the people who come to our farm store all the time say, I saw you, I found you on Google. I'd never heard of you and I found you on Google. We get that so often. And that is a real nice feeling when you see people coming in the door and buying from you who heard about you off Google, because that means that you are not actively having to create dancing reels on Instagram.
I'm never creating dancing reels on Instagram. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm gonna get Jay
But
to do. Jay did one. Remember when he did a
he
Celine
did
Dion?
with a kick. I remember. I can vividly remember
Oh.
Celine Dion. Jay, if you don't know, he's like 6'8" with a beard that goes halfway down his chest.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to link
Dancing
that
to
in the
Celine
show
Dion.
notes, you guys.
You might have to. Yes.
Show notes.
Yeah. That was a winner. No, I think that is truly a forgotten in the flash of social media and the ease and cheapness of social media, because it is a learning curve, right? Everything we're talking about does have a learning curve. I had no idea what it meant to make an opt-in, I didn't even know how to look at the analytics in email when I started. I didn't know how to create a new page on my website. That was all self-taught, hours on YouTube, watching tutorials from Squarespace, whatever it was. There is a learning curve there. But if you have anything local and you want someone to be able to type in wedding venue, Spokane, Washington, or frozen chicken, Vancouver, Canada, or you want them to find your storefront or any of that sort of thing comes from that search engine optimization, like you were saying, and you can only get that truly, you can only get that through a website. And then add in, double down. We're going to double, I feel like that's my word of the day. We're doubling down on this again because how many times have you gone to social media, you remember seeing something, and then you try to search and find it? Maybe it's a good, like, messy bun hair tutorial. Maybe it's a recipe you saw and forgot to save. And all of a sudden you are scrolling like mad through someone's account. You thought it was them, but you can't find it. You can't search for it. You can't go back to it. There's no searchability on these things. I mean, minimal, but there's really none.
It's not that. It's not like you get with Google. It's not like you get with a regular traditional search engine that's indexing websites. Like that's a totally different thing. And we drive so much traffic. And the beautiful thing is that many businesses in the same space as us. So if you are a farm selling direct to consumer, if you are a small rural business of some sort, A lot of people in these spaces are not taking the time to do this. So you rank really quickly in comparison. If you're an online business owner who is teaching marketing to other, big scale entrepreneurs, that market is so saturated with people who know how to do websites well, because that is literally the space they're in and it's what they're teaching. So it's so much harder to rank in those areas. If you're selling beef direct to consumer from your ranch in Colorado, there's a lot of other ranchers in Colorado who are not taking the time to make a website. And so you end up ranking so much faster. You end up being the top choice when you type those things in without nearly as much background knowledge needed, time investment. I mean, I'm doing like a blog post a month, like if I'm lucky, and I'm cycling that through my newsletter. I'm not spending a ton of time on my website, and we rank top in most search terms that we want to rank in. So people are just finding us.
And if you don't want to be on social media, if that is like a true hang up for you, then quit scrolling and taking in other content and take the time that you would spend scrolling to go learn how to make a website and create a website for yourself and flush it out. Really put the time into it. Learn about, and there are people way smarter than me, maybe not smarter than Kendall about this, but smarter than me about it, that have podcasts that you can listen to about the specific SEO terms and then how they deep dive into it, and you can really spend your time there and actually see returns on it instead of spending another 3 hours on Instagram, scrolling and liking your friends' stuff, and then leaving at the end of the day feeling like I still didn't do anything because I didn't create anything for my business, and you still don't have a website.
And we do have some workshops inside of the Workhorse Collective that talk about search engine optimization, building out your website, setting up your email newsletter. Those are ready inside of our group coaching program. But certainly, there are many resources available out there. The one thing that I constantly hear within our community, though, is I don't want to go to farmers markets anymore, or I don't want to be on social media anymore, or I don't have time to send an email newsletter. And I'm going to say the thing. You got to do something, though. Like, you got to do something. If you don't want to go to farmers markets, you better get real comfortable showing up and showing your face on social media. If you don't want to be on social media, you better be creating some compelling information over on your website and really marketing an email list to get people over there, because you have to do something. We may have the best product in the world, and if we're not marketing it anywhere, and if we're not showing up in any space, then who's going to find us?
Yeah, I mean, or you can choose to spend the money with a marketing agency that creates things like television commercials, radio ads, and billboards for you. You're spending it somewhere, because customers don't just pop up, especially not in the middle of nowhere where all of us live.
Yeah, and I think that these days, with artificial intelligence on the increase, with so much, people are going to crave that feeling that it's coming from the small business owner. Like, there's going to be that craving. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of that in 2025, where people are craving real connection. They want the storytelling happening on your website. They want to feel connected to you through your email newsletter. That is the feedback I get the most. I get so many responses to my email newsletter where people are like, I love reading your newsletter. Like, it feels like I get to a peek behind the curtains at the farm, and they just feel so connected, because people are craving that. And if you want to be selling online only, and you don't want to have a farm store or go to farmers markets or be, popping up a retail store, you need to figure out how to have that storytelling ability and be able to make connection with people. And I don't think sourcing everything out is how you do it, because people will miss the you of your business.
100%. And I think that the biggest thing to remember here, and we could go off on a whole nother episode about, unique ways to repurpose content and make it efficiencies in your content, not meaning just social media content, but how social media content goes to blog content, becomes email newsletters, and then is on your website for SEO purposes. But the biggest thing here is getting your customers off of an area of real estate you don't own, that you could lose at any point in time, and getting them somewhere to where you truly own the connection you have with your customers, and you're able to leverage that for your business whenever you need it.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We know there are only so many hours in the day, so we're honored you choose to spend some of your time with us. If you're one of the many rural women entrepreneurs who are struggling to find true community and step-by-step support that actually moves the needle in your business, join our signature group coaching program, the Workhorse Collective. You can find more information in the show notes of today's episode.
Together, we've set out to support and connect with women in rural business. If you found this episode valuable, we'd love it if you'd share with another woman in your circle. It would also be incredibly helpful if you would take a moment to leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and we'll catch you next time on the Workhorse Podcast.